future-proof conversation for you. We are really excited to be talking with Gene Lim, who is a serial entrepreneur, multi-hyphenate, and the CEO of Map12. Really looking forward to the insights that you can bring to us about just this unique moment that we're experiencing where creativity, technology, disruption is all coming forward for us, and provide insights for next generation creatives and representing really just an exciting generation of creativity. We have Mel Teeter, who is a graphic designer focused on brand identity and storytelling, and a really important part of our iWorks team. I will let you kick it off. Thanks so much for being here, Gene.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time today. Let's see, to kick it off, the question I got for you is, can you describe a moment when you realized that the playbook for your industry changed?
Well, there are a few timelines. I remember back in the day when we used to do a lot of direct mail, and we did some in-store marketing, and there were more physical projects and tangible products being used to convey a message, if you will, or communicate. And that went over to digital. And that was an aha moment of saying, wow, we got to really look at our creative approach, our POV, and how do we storytell that? Mm-hmm. Because especially with the attention span and what have you, and budgets being slashed. So that was a very interesting moment. That was some years ago.
Yeah, I bet switching over from mostly having like paper and like physical advertising and everything going digital was definitely like a big change.
Yeah. Yep. So the agency had a transition. We had our print and more of our packaging, our displays, and what have you. And then we kind of transitioned over to permanent displays at, say, a Fry's at that time, or a Best Buy or Apple. And then looking at what other mediums can we convey that to, would that be outdoor digital billboards, or, it may not be, typical, bus wraps or what have you, but it could be short form. Social media was big, starting in 2007, 2009. What did that look like? So there was a lot of transition, and I would call musical chairs for the creatives at that time.
For sure, and with attention spans just getting shorter and shorter every year, it makes it difficult.
That's right. Yeah, especially now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make a really big noise in a very small moment?
Yeah, and I think, from a creative approach, you have to think about, I have all these different mediums. How do I capture someone's attention? And how do I convey a message for the brand or for yourself or whatever that might be, right? And so you have to get real creative in terms of utilizing and leveraging mediums. And I think that's where it's most challenging today, is figuring that part out, right?
For sure.
Because it's generational. If you look at a couple of generations, like the boomers, they're more into newspaper, physical, and or magazines or other things tangible, whereas you would do Apple Pay, and they're like, what the hell is that? I'm using that off my mobile phone. Well, what if it dies? I have hard cash, It's just a different methodology, a different approach, right? So different mindset. And so, if you think about who we are as creatives and also storytelling, are we not Jedi Knights, Jedi Masters? Do we convince people to do things or want things or spend, or a call to action, whether they like it or not, we're able to maneuver? That's a responsibility, and a responsibility of using the right medium and the right approach and the right intention, right?
So, and knowing who you're marketing towards is such a big thing, knowing your demographic and knowing what will be able to pull their attention, especially with the attention spans. Just making sure that it's just gonna hit them.
I love the Star Wars reference. I was actually thinking about that. How do you be a Jedi Knight in this moment? How is it that you kind of continue to connect to that human force using all of these different platforms and tools to connect with that human story, with the audience moving in all the different places that it's moving to? How do you do that?
That's a great question. First, I meditate. Believe it or not, I do TM, transcendental meditation. And I literally sometimes go in my garden or just go for a walk. If you think about what Steve Jobs has done, is his best creativity came from walking. And I do believe in that 15-minute, half an hour walk with your colleagues or yourself. What we've done at MAV12 is we would say, hey, team, let's huddle up, take the day off. Here's $100. Go and window shop, go explore. If you buy something, whether it be food, a personal thing, whatever that is that inspired you, but when you come back, tell me a story, tell us a story. Why did you buy that? What moved you? What was your point of reference or point of view? What had inspired you? And how are you going to utilize this in your storytelling, as you're storytelling today, in front of us? And so I think those are important parts as leaders in the creative industry to give you some guidance, right? And to me, after meditating or having a moment of inspiration, is to sit back, clear your mind, and figure out, how do I really connect with you? How do I authentically connect with you? How do I know, do you receive your information? Is it through a podcast? Is it through short form? Is it through a beautiful card with a personal message? What is that? I think that authentic approach and the story that you tell and the words that you use is the force. It's that intent, that honest, authentic connection that we want to make. Hence why that hopefully has a ripple effect. And so you feel it. And so that's where your communities start to say, hey, I really love what they've done here. I really love this brand. I want to share it with people. And that's where you get the word of mouth. So it is some type of force. I do believe in that.
For sure. Intention is everything. If you don't have good intention behind a project, people can feel it.
Right. And your authentic approach and your energy. If you don't have the right energy, then they'll think, what, this is just another stupid ad, or this is just another propaganda that they don't believe in and they're not backing. Whereas they feel the intent, they feel the energy. And I think that's most important. So you really need to believe in the brand that you're promoting and or the creative approach that you have. You should really think about how to connect. And once you connect, how to continue that conversation.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually a great segue into the next question I wanted to ask you. In my research, I saw a lot about how you guys make sure to take people's philosophies, brands' philosophies, and integrate that into your guys' marketing and help them integrate it into their branding. In your opinion, what is the most important principle for a company to have?
Well, there's a few. But I think the most important part is having authentic approach. That really comes down to integrity, right? Your intent, as I mentioned before. And then really asking a lot of questions. So I judge people for the questions they ask, not what they say. So have some really great questions. In today's term is prompt. You got prompt engineers asking really great questions so that AI can understand, right, how to answer them. So think about that. Are you asking the client the right questions? Are you asking the brand the right questions? Are you asking the community and listening, hearing and understanding, and then being able to process that and putting that through your campaigns? If you don't, I think that falls very flat and people don't appreciate that.
It doesn't connect with what the loyal customers of that brand have been seeing throughout the years.
And it's also your responsibility as a creative to speak up if it's off brand. You are stewards of the brand when you're hired as an agency. I think leadership is very important to keep on brand. If not, fire yourself. And I've had to do that. Hey, we're not doing a great job. I've had to fire creatives just because we just weren't on point. And we just had to put them over to a different section of the business, but that's okay too. But as leaders, we have to also explain it. I think it's very important.
Right.
Without explanation and understanding, even internally, you have your own internal brand, your own internal mantra. And I think that's important too as an agency or any type of company. Otherwise, how can you service your clients, right?
No, for sure. In the last year, with our iWorks agency that we've been building, I've been our branding designer. So I've gone through and I've been building the brand and building out our brand book and all that. And really making sure that the values that we've already started building into this agency are in the brand and are really showcased.
That's great.
Another question I have for you. When I was doing my research, So MAV 12, it started out with the 12 was for the 12 principles of your company. Is that correct?
Well, it started out as 3 companies as a
Okay.
collaboration back in 2009. It used to be Mosaic, which was kind of a packaging company that I started some years ago, packaging displays and more physical products. Artisan Creative, which is an agency that represents talent and infills any type of fluctuation that a large company or agency may have, talent and so forth. And then V12 Studios was a colleague of mine that's out in Arizona that was here in LA, but also had a creative agency. So we came together as a collaborative.
Okay.
Since years later, things changed with family and the other dynamics and people had to move. So we transitioned out, so I ended up buying them out. And what was interesting is I had to change the story. So the story became MAV 12. It stands for Mavericks and Mavens with 12 guiding principles and core values. Because that's really when we did an internal branding and had to repurpose ourselves. What are we now? And that's when we went into social. We did video productions, we went into commercials, and we supported some of the major agencies such as Saatchi & Saatchi, Chiat&Day, and a few others. So
Nice.
and we went direct to brands as well, just because we had a change in our direction.
Yeah, when I was looking at the MAV 12 website, it looks like you guys have narrowed it down to 5 principles.
Those are five sectors or five techniques or capabilities.
Gotcha.
But our core principles are around, one of the things that we talk about a lot of times is authenticity, integrity. There's trust. We believe in dancing in the rain without umbrellas. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have beliefs in that we want to invite, whether it be the client side, it could be the supplier side, or any of our teams or pods. We just want to make sure that they're all aligned around that. Otherwise, we won't yield the best results of teamwork, collaboration, and so forth, and great creative. So,
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. If you don't align with your client, then how can you make the work that they need?
Right. Like we want to believe that we're making a difference. If we don't, we'll cut it. We want to believe that we have high impact. If not, we cut it. I have my personal mission statement, for example, not just the company mission statement, but my personal, and that is like to help others by providing clarity and meaningful connections for impact while enjoying the journey of life. If I don't personally do that to each employee, or personally don't do that with clients, and do that as a company, I've failed my journey. So I keep that to my holy grail. And I always challenge everybody to have their own personal mission statement beyond just your company. Like, what do you mean? What does your personal brand mean?
Right.
What does that force look like? What does that energy look like? And when you do, and when you're aligned with the right people, you created a really amazing team. And that framework can create magic, especially amongst creatives. We cannot create alone, in my personal opinion.
I find that so resonant. I may think, what I need to be in service to with my students is they feel distracted or they feel burnt out, And I love the response that you've found to that is values. It isn't just sort of like be a better person. It's like, no, this is incredibly useful. This helps me know what it is that I need to attend to and what it is I need to let go of.
That's right.
And I can see how that would be a source of calming and presence to sort of be able to respond in that human moment, amidst the whole barrage of stuff coming at you.
Yeah. And, sometimes, especially as students, they may not know what they want, but a lot of times they know what they don't want. And that also helps you get closer to clarity.
For sure.
And then where you can make impact. So that's why I always challenge, that's okay if you don't know. Just figure out what you don't want, or don't want to have or don't like. And so it'll give you more clarity as to hopefully what you do like through that process, that journey. So.
For sure. I've seen that just in the last 4 years of being at CMC. Like, I had no clue where I wanted to end up in the industry. And then I had a great opportunity of being an intern at Backbone Media in Carbondale. And it opened up my eyes to agency life and how much I love branding and marketing. And it just all started to click.
Yeah. May I ask, why do you like it so much? What made you focus in on it. What inspired you? What was that spark?
I've always liked making art or anything really that makes people feel something, or like carries a message. It's been something that I've been doing in my art for as long as I can remember. I did a yearbook in high school because we didn't have one. So I wanted to make one so that we could hold it for memories. So I like sending messages in my work, and that is exactly what branding and marketing is.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Be sure to mention that during your interviews, your job interviews, right? Because that's important. You have to go back to the why, and then what, and then eventually how you came, right? That journey is very important. Storytelling, right?
For
Different POV, and whatever that POV is, own it. Be proud of it, because that's your part of your identity. And to me, that's always important wherever you go, right?
For sure.
That's your DNA.
No, different perspectives is always amazing, especially with looking at creative stuff. On the topic of creativity, do you do anything to nourish your creativity on like a daily basis?
I do. Every morning I wake up, I go to my garden, and I literally just appreciate and just do a gratitude prayer. It sounds kind of corny, but I'm just grateful, whether it be a cloudy day or a sunny day. I'm just grateful. And then you look at your garden or your grass or your sky, and you just absorb Mother Nature. Again, this is just for me, what I like to do, because I'm just grateful. I love the outdoors. I love animals. I love, what we have, and it grounds you, especially in LA, being this, hustling and bustling city, maybe not like New York, but still, you sometimes forget. And so that taps into your creative mind for a moment, just clearing your mind, getting into the positive momentum, positive attitude and gratefulness, and then abundance kicks in and things start to really flow. I do like to look through some inspiring stories or articles or newsletters to keep me going as well, just to kind of update, but not too much, not in the rabbit hole, but just high level stuff, and then go forward. But it's always nice to listen to a joke or see a funny video or clip just to get your creative mind going. And sometimes that thought of the day could be a theme of also helping your creative. Right? So you never know. So every day could be a different day. So I always try to think of a thought for the day or a theme. So it's always inspiring when you come to your team. So
for sure. Nature is definitely one of the things that I take a lot of creative inspiration from. I grew up very small mountain town right at the bottom of a mountain. So I grew up right in the middle of nature. So it is definitely one of the points I definitely take it from as well.
That's cool. It gives you inspiration too.
For sure.
Just like even watching a little ant and what he's trying to do, and you're like going, that guy's leveraging X and he's doing this and he's building that. I'm like, oh, why don't we think about a campaign around, right? I started, going back some years ago, I started a new company within a publicly traded company. And this is how I started my agency, is I was a rep, like 400 and climbed up to the top, accomplished that really great across the US. But I got real bored, and I was trained. I went to USC for the entrepreneur program. Originally was aerospace, but graduated from the entrepreneur program. And I wanted to import wine from Spain at that time. That was my college thesis. And anyways, I needed to understand about logistics and packaging and distribution and what have you. And so I worked for this company. And then after hitting certain milestones, I got bored, and I said, I just need to start my own company within a company. And they said, okay. I was an entrepreneur and then became very entrepreneurial. And I'm like, okay, great, got that back in. And so we created a creative agency called Turning Nothing Into Something, Tunis, within a publicly traded company that was global. So it was a major coup, and I was only 28 years old. So then I'm like, okay, great. I'm a founder of a publicly traded company at 28 and did mergers and acquisitions. And our client was Universal, Disney, and a bunch of other clients. And so we used that creative force of 300 facilities around 30 countries and navigated that and said, hey, you don't have an agency, here we are. Similar to what you're doing. Mark, think about that.
Yeah.
Real creative, an agency among students within your university, unheard of, right? I mean, there are some, but what you're doing is pretty incredible. So in your university as well, I think that's amazing. Same with us. So at a global institution, being able to do that and then be able to come up with campaigns, now you're leveraging resources and getting real creative, not only on the business front, but then attracting really creative. So you got the creative business side, and you also got your creative force. So that became interesting. And that was my foray into really going into the agency world, supporting big agencies who would hire us as a secret weapon and being able to do some really creative things because we have the resources to do it. Similar to what you're doing. Mel, think about that. You have a really unique opportunity, and the kids, your students, your colleagues have really interesting opportunities. And I hope that you have a continuation with your alumni program to be able to leverage that as well. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what we're building right now. We've started to work with companies throughout our valley, and then we're partnering with nonprofits. So just building all those connections.
That's beautiful. That's really great. So you're really developing an ecosystem.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Part of it came from like a really sort of simple challenge that I had, which was that we're a little bit remote, like you have to kind of come up the mountain to our campus. And so I said, instead of spending a lot of time and energy trying to get, local business owners and brands to come to our school, let's come to them. And so I looked to nonprofits as places where local business leaders had already invested time and energy, emotional capital in the different organizations that were important to them. And so we came up with a project where we would create a joint fundraiser for all of the different organizations, not all of them, because it's a huge industry in our area. I mean, we're near Aspen, so the nonprofit sector in just our valley is a $500 million business. And so it was our opportunity to demonstrate value through service. That they could see like, oh wow, you got all these people to show up at our event. How'd you do that? And then, these guys will come out on stage and we'll say, this is how they did it.
Yeah, we have multiple classes working on it, so it's a big team project.
I if you don't mind, I would love to challenge you and your agency to come up with a campaign so that whatever nonprofit that needs help, you can actually do a whole campaign around that to see who comes up with the best campaign, a contest or what have you. Because people like contests, people like to have bragging rights, but more importantly, people want to be able to be part of something that's making a positive difference.
For sure.
Right? So you have a really beautiful ecosystem. And if you did that within the entire community, I think you should go out for some awards. And also be able to yell at the rooftops to say, hey, I challenge other communities to do the same thing that we're doing. And that's around infrastructure, ecosystems, economic impact, social impact, environmental impact.
Sure.
That's leadership. And for you to go through that is better than just a college education. It's actually applying your education and be able to have impact and enjoying that journey. Again, going back to that, my personal mission statement, but enjoying that journey and that you're able to be an inspiration for others. That to me is really important. And I think that you have the tools and you have the capabilities. It's just shaping that. Maybe getting a board that can help you, around the creative side, be able to shape that for you. So
you're already anticipating the conversation I was hoping to have with you after this.
Yeah, my mind goes real fast and I'm just trying to be zen about it, but it's the force of love.
Yeah.
Compassion, right? Empathy, right? And if you don't have empathy, leadership, forget about it. Nothing's going to get done. But if you can connect in a very humanistic way with integrity and intention, lots of amazing things can happen. It's a lot of magic. All kinds.
Well, I really appreciate the challenge to kind of, think higher, because I think that, my experience with these students is I go like, what's the most audacious thing I could challenge them to do? And my experience has been that they will complain vigorously and then they go about saying, well, you should have asked us to do this instead.
And blowing it out of the water.
Yeah. Now what? So you've given us a really great now what. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
Oh, for sure.
I remember Tony Hsieh, God rest his soul. He wanted to inspire people through culture and through his book, but more importantly is just his entire team looking at a bigger picture. And that's why he went over to Vegas looking at building a big, huge city, right? And and doing a change through the city so that you can actually yield more positive impact and creativity. And so it's just not a shoe company, you know, it was beyond that, right? So you're looking for leaders like that to attract and help mentor you, guide you, or use as inspiration, right? So, and there are those out there, and some of them are just unsung heroes as well. So, you know, that next challenge is to find out more of those that can, you know, you can attract and have conversations with, right?
How do you create the culture that you do in the companies that you've led?
Great question. Number one, don't micromanage. Two, give them big goals that they can attain, but give them the guidance to reach certain goals so they can attain the big goal. Three is give them inspiration, show them, not just tell them. I think there's a lot of trust that goes behind it. So, hey, Mark, now go out and let's paint the town red. Literally, let's paint the town red and come up with a campaign around what that means.
Sure.
Right? And, you know, who can you rattle the cages to get people's attention? That's a great challenge. But how do we do that? Let's do it step by step. You know, let's go through our little resources of who we know. Then let's go through our LinkedIn or what have you, right? It's a ripple effect. It's 1 or 2 or 3 degrees of separation. But I think going back to it is, it's more about, within our leadership, we also want to make sure that people have their own point of view. That everybody has their own point of view, and no one beats on it or shames anybody for it. It's just their own point of view, because each point of view is also beautiful. And so if we do that, the most creativity comes. Why? Because everybody feels safe.
Yeah.
So a leader has to create a safe environment, no matter what, right? And the circle of trust, and then inspiration. But also, as I mentioned, is, hey, go out and find something on your day off during workday and just be inspired. So we need to give those tools and mechanisms. But as leaders, we're also short on time and bandwidth because we're running a company. So you're looking for other leaders outside of your organization to help you as well. That's why you may have a board of advisors or mentors or volunteers to come in and help. And it could be your own clients. You'd be surprised how much they would want to contribute to. So be open-minded to that, you know. The rings get bigger and bigger.
No, they definitely do. When you are creating content for a client, what is the most important part of the process for you?
Oh, lots of questions. We have to go in to say, you know, I do a reverse engineering. It's like, what is the end result? What is the outcome? But more importantly, as a brand, how do you want them to feel at the end of the piece of the content? Right? Because brand is about the feel, right? So how do we connect? How do you feel about the brand? And what is that call to action? Sometimes there isn't. It's just more of a message, and then you follow up with maybe more of a call to action. But I think that's important, is to ask as many questions as you can and to try to bookend it, right? You got act 1, 2, and 3. What does that look like? How do you transition that message? And that's where the creatives come in, the copywriters come in. And I think it's really a team effort when you're doing that. And so you want to make sure that you give a client at least a few options, but you're hoping to kind of narrow down to that decision. So it's important. But study as much as you can about the brand or about the product, about the leadership as well. And I think the biggest thing that a lot of people make a mistake is they think we have a project to hand, it's a production, and that's it. No, you're project managing the project, but you also want a project and help the client.
For sure.
The client is overwhelmed. So you do both at the same time, you're going to knock it out of the park. Because I would appreciate it if someone just says, hey, got your back. Here's what it is, blah, blah, blah. Not just the production part, but the also helping me get managed. I hate to say that, but sometimes leaders want to be managed at times because we got so much to navigate. Can you help me for a moment, right? Without saying it, but do it with social grace, right?
No, for
with
sure.
professionalism. And people appreciate that. Saying, I got this for you. I got you. Important.
Yeah, let me go get that for you. I'll take care of that. For sure.
Bingo.
Teamwork is the only way to get through it, especially in the creative industry. It's because that's what we are. We're just one big team.
Right. And reading the room well. A lot of people miss that too. So read the room, read the client. And that's hard for a creative. So that's why sometimes it's good to have a good business development manager there too, or client services. So there's there's a nice balance to that.
Do you have any questions for the creatives entering the industry?
I do. You know, what I would like to find out is, what is your BHAG? You know, it's
BHAG
fun.
is a new term for me.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry. Big,
new.
hairy, audacious goal.
Okay.
It's been
Oh.
used for a while, but
Got it.
that's what we say is like, that's our mantra. It's like, hey man, what's your BHAG? Well, I want to ring the New York Stock Exchange bell. That's on my bucket list or BHAG, you know, and I want to be able to do a really cool campaign, which I did, called Big Startup back some time ago. It was a great pitch, 30-second elevator pitch, and I got millions of dollars in cash. And, you know, anyways, another story of another time, but that was one of my BHAGs. And I've had several BHAGs, and I've been able to check the box. To me, the overall arching thing was, can I have impact with society in whole, infrastructure and other things? And so I was able to frame that for me personally. So I asked, do you guys have that for yourselves? And do you have that as an organization? And so when you're going it tactically, it can be really, you can celebrate those moments. And that's where you get more inspired and you get actually more creative, because the juices start flowing, you know, because you're getting positive impact, right? And you're enjoying that journey. And it's like a drug or anything else. It's just dopamine just hitting you all over the place.
I love
So it's
that.
a lot of fun. Yeah. Or when you're skiing right down the mountain, you just nailed it. You just felt good. It's just, you were in that zone, and no one could describe it. Whether you're a surfer, you're a tennis player, you're a skier, it's you're in that zone, you and Mother Nature or that sport. And it's just undescribable. But an athlete to athlete will understand what we mean. Right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing with creatives. When you're in that zone, there's that zero moment of truth, as you know, Google would say, is, do you have that zero moment of truth? It's just, you're there.
Yeah.
Do
No, I
you-
love the BHAG.
Do you like that? That's a
No,
good
I
one.
do.
Do you have a sense of that?
I guess my biggest one right now that I have is just being able to impact people. Yeah, being able to make stuff that's impacting people in a positive way.
So is that product? Is that more of a campaign? Is that, so give it a little bit more structure.
Gotcha.
And you don't have to have the answer today, but as you're going through that through your mind every day, challenge yourself. What does that mean?
Gotcha.
It could be person to person. Eventually it could be other students. It could be a project. And then you'll start to evolve. You know, my BHAG was, I would love to work with the city and build a new city. Did that with the city of Heidelberg. I'm now an ambassador for the city of Heidelberg, helped master plan that. We started with the Patton Barracks. It was 45,000 American troops that left. And then we had this thing empty, and we're like, oh my gosh. And as you know, back then, Merkel promised Syrians coming over, and they were housing Syrians in that army barracks. And we wrote a business plan to the federal government. And I'm oversimplifying this. But the mayor was brilliant. The deputy mayor, Nicole Huber, was brilliant. All these folks gathered together, and you know, I was infrastructure, understanding how to, you know, entrepreneurial ecosystem and what have you. That's another story. But came in and we ended up designing a city. It's the only city in the world, I think, called HIP, Heidelberg Innovation Park, and that was the hub. And then we built cities around that. So now, if you look at it, billions of dollars have been pumped in, and so being part of that, you know, it was a massive team to. But it was more about the vision, the leadership, and being able to shape that. That was very, very fun. So not only Dr. Eckhart, the mayor, is building out this beautiful city, but we're able to promote that at the World Economic Forum. You know, hundreds of cities signed up to be part of that. And now Dr. Eckhart was asked to be the mayor of all mayors at the UN General Assembly last fall. And so we hit some major milestones, and that was because of his vision and trust in coming up with this concept and actually doing it. So being part of that was truly inspiring. For our agency to name it, design the logo, and be part of the master plan was a huge honor,
I bet.
right? So if I can do it, you can do it. I'm just a kid from, you know, Hacienda Heights, the Valley of LA, and half an hour away, and I was very middle class. But we had to get real creative. So my creative blocks were Legos, Tinker Toys, and you know, drawing and what have you, in nature, right? And being inspired and just looking and observing. So, but anything can be done. Anything can be done. You just have to put your mind to it and surround yourself with great people around you. You know, that's key.
For sure. No, I definitely I agree with all that. Do you have any advice for someone trying to get into the branding and marketing world?
Ooh, it's very competitive. So I would always come back with develop your own portfolio, come up with a point of view, as we were mentioning, and what inspires you. Kind of think about what is your own story and how are you going to communicate that when you're in an interview. I always like to look at people's work. I had, my daughter was going to a preschool, and our preschool's teacher said, hey, my husband is looking at a creative job. And I said, well, I'm going over to Shy Day and Media Arts Lab. We're working on an Apple project and Nissan and a few other things. Why don't you tag along with me and I'll introduce you to some folks. Luckily, and I said, oh, by the way, bring your portfolio just in case. So he took notes and they said, hey, your work is pretty good. You didn't have to go through the typical process. He came through, I call it maybe the side door, but he could stand on his own. And I said, don't be embarrassed of you. Oh, this is not very good. It's not the best. I said, Travis, it's fine. Just stand tall, own it. You're okay. You have a different point of view. And I love that. I wouldn't bring you if I didn't think you were creative enough. I think you can go toe to toe with any of these guys. You just need a chance, right? So sometimes just being able to help somebody, just give them that little nudge or help of an introduction, but be confident in your own work. Even though you'll feel insecure, ask other people, and maybe shape it, right? And go to listen to podcasts, watch the different commercials, look at the different art forms and ways of communicating in mediums. I think that's important. And develop your own point of view. And it could be out of materials, it could be out of, music, it could be a number of things. Just have an approach and be able to explain it. That's key, right? So when they ask, so Mel, what inspires you? Why do you want to be in this creative field? A lot of hours, not great pay, what the hell,
Right.
Are you kidding me? And then they're going to say, well, what's in it? And they're going to look for passion, heart, authenticity, right? Do we gel? Do we have good energy? Right? Are we simpatico, right? And so that's what people are looking for. Are you willing to have my back when we have a deadline and we got to stay up till 3, 4 in the morning or no sleep for 48 hours? And I've had that at some of the agencies. We're there all night. They're like, we got a deadline. Okay, let's do this. Roll up your sleeves. I don't care if you're the owner of the business or you're just a graphic designer. Does not matter.
You got to get it done.
And you're a PA. Does not matter. Roll up your sleeves and be part of the team. Show up. Show up and show up with a positive attitude because things will happen if you're positive. It really does.
Yeah, one of my own personal mantras is positive attitude, positive outcome.
That's right. And keep that energy. Remember the force we talked about in the very beginning. It's all about that.
Really appreciate you making time for us, sharing your insight, your experience, and your force.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. So thank you for the opportunity. And I hope that, the kids get inspired in some way. So,
No, for sure.
It would make me very happy, the ripple effect. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.